The first wave came without warning. Massive crystalline ships emerged from the upper atmosphere, their surfaces shifting with impossible geometries that defied human understanding. Santiago Rodriguez watched from the window of his research station in the Atacama Desert, his coffee mug frozen halfway to his lips as the sky transformed into a nightmare of alien technology. Electromagnetic pulses cascaded across the global communication networks. Satellites died in an instant, their delicate electronics fried by waves of energy that crackled with an almost living intensity. Military bases went dark simultaneously, their most advanced defense systems rendered useless in mere moments. The Zorn Collective had studied humanity for decades, meticulously planning an invasion that would eliminate any possibility of resistance. In Tokyo, a young network engineer named Hiroshi Nakamura watched in horror as entire city blocks simply ceased to exist. The alien ships deployed weapons that seemed to consume matter itself, leaving behind nothing but a fine, glittering dust that drifted like deadly snow. Emergency services collapsed within minutes. Communication became impossible as cellular networks disintegrated and internet infrastructure crumbled. The White House disappeared in a silent implosion, a perfect sphere of destruction that erased the center of American government in less than a heartbeat. Similar strikes hit the Kremlin, Beijing's central government complex, and other major political centers across the globe. It was a surgical strike designed to decapitate human leadership in a single, devastating moment. Military responses were futile. Fighter jets became nothing more than metal confetti, shredded by force fields that turned high-speed missiles into harmless sparks. Naval fleets found themselves trapped in force bubbles, ships crushed like tin cans by incomprehensible gravitational technologies. The world's most advanced military hardware became nothing more than expensive scrap metal in minutes. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, no relation to Santiago, watched from her research facility in Chile as the first wave of ground troops began to materialize. They were nothing like the humanoid aliens of science fiction. The Zorn were a nightmare of biological and mechanical integration, creatures that seemed to blur the line between living organism and advanced machinery. Their forms shifted and changed, adapting to the terrain with a terrifying efficiency. The invasion wasn't just a military operation. It was a complete systematic dismantling of human civilization. Communication centers, power grids, transportation networks, all collapsed within the first 6 hours. Major cities became graveyards of twisted metal and crystalline alien structures that pulsed with an unnatural light. In the midst of this global apocalypse, something unexpected began to happen. Small pockets of resistance emerged not through military might, but through human ingenuity and survival instinct. A group of university students in Buenos Aires managed to cobble together a makeshift communication network using salvaged radio equipment. A team of software engineers in Mumbai began analyzing captured alien technology using nothing more than laptops and desperate creativity. The Zorn had made a critical miscalculation. They saw humanity as a single unified target, a species to be eliminated quickly and efficiently. But humans were anything but uniform. Each region, each community, each individual responded differently. Where one saw total destruction, another saw an unprecedented challenge. Santiago Rodriguez, watching from his remote research station, noticed something peculiar. The alien technology, for all its sophistication, seemed to have patterns. Predictable, patterns that a human mind might be able to understand. He began making notes, his scientific curiosity burning brighter than his fear. The first day of the invasion ended with most of the world believing humanity was finished. Major cities lay in ruins. Governments had fallen. Communication was nearly impossible. The Zorn Collective prepared to begin the systematic elimination of human populations, confident in their total victory. But beneath the ruins, in underground research facilities, in remote villages, in the hearts of survivors around the globe, something was beginning to stir. A spark of resistance, a determination that would soon prove to be the Zorn's greatest miscalculation. Humanity was far from defeated. In fact, the real fight was just beginning. The underground research facility, hummed with an intensity that defied the devastation above. Salvaged computer monitors flickered to life, casting ghostly light on the faces of humanity's most unlikely survivors. Dr. Elena Rodriguez adjusted her glasses, tracing her fingers across a schematic of alien technology that had been hastily captured during the initial invasion. Jack Harper moved between workstations, his military training evident in every calculated step. Once a special operations strategist, he now found himself coordinating a group of scientists, engineers, and survivors from around the world. The communication network they had cobbled together was nothing short of miraculous. A patchwork of satellite fragments, repurposed radio equipment, and ingenious signal-boosting technology. "We're picking up something," called out Maria Gonzalez, a young communications specialist who had been part of a global satellite maintenance team before the invasion. Her fingers danced across a modified keyboard, filtering through fragments of alien communication signals. "It's not just random noise, there's a pattern here." The facility itself was a testament to human survival. Located deep beneath the Andes Mountains, it had been designed as a research station for extreme environment studies. Now it served as a lifeline for what remained of human technological capabilities. Solar panels and wind turbines hidden in the mountainside provided power, while an intricate water filtration system ensured their survival. Hiroshi Nakamura, the network engineer from Tokyo who had survived the initial attack, worked alongside a team of software specialists. They were doing something unprecedented, attempting to understand the Zorn's communication protocols. Each alien signal was a puzzle, a complex language of electromagnetic pulses and quantum-level communications that would have defeated most scientific teams. "Look at this," Hiroshi said, pulling up a holographic display. Fragments of alien data, swirled like digital smoke. Their communication isn't just a language, it's a living system. Every transmission adapts, changes, evolves in real time. Dr. Rodriguez nodded, her mind racing. The Zorn's technology was unlike anything humans had ever encountered. Biological and mechanical systems so intertwined that they seemed to defy the very laws of physics. But where the aliens saw complexity, the human team saw an opportunity. Jack Harper understood the stakes better than anyone. "They think they've won," he said, marking potential alien strongholds on a digital map. "They believe humanity is finished. That's their first mistake." The survivors represented a cross-section of global expertise. Engineers from Mumbai worked alongside biologists from Cape Town. A team of quantum physicists from Switzerland collaborated with marine technology experts. From Chile, nationality, previous conflicts, professional rivalries, all of these had been erased by the invasion. Their first breakthrough came unexpectedly. Maria Gonzalez discovered that the Zorn's communication signals had a fundamental weakness. They relied on a hierarchical transmission system that, while efficient, created predictable vulnerabilities. It was like discovering the blueprint of a supposedly impenetrable fortress. "We can't fight them with traditional weapons," Dr. Rodriguez explained to the gathered team. "But we can fight them with something far more powerful: human creativity and adaptability." Small teams began working on specialized projects. One group focused on understanding the Zorn's force field technologies. Another worked on decoding their energy transmission systems. A third team began developing adaptive communication algorithms that could potentially disrupt alien networks. Outside the facility, the world remained under alien occupation. Cities lay in ruins, populations decimated. But here, in this underground sanctuary, something remarkable was happening. Humanity was not preparing to surrender. They were preparing to fight back. Jack Harper looked at the assembled team. Scientists, engineers, survivors from different backgrounds, united by a single purpose. "They thought we were just another species to be conquered," he said quietly. "They have no idea what they're up against." As night fell above the mountain facility, the team worked with a determination that burned brighter than any technology. Each decoded signal, each analyzed fragment of alien technology was a small victory, a promise that humanity was far from finished. The real war was just beginning, and the Zorn had no idea what was coming. The workshop buzzed with an electric intensity that defied the devastation outside. Scattered across multiple workstations, teams of engineers worked with captured alien technology, their fingers moving with a combination of surgical precision and wild creativity. Jack Harper watched as another modified device came to life, its alien components now dancing to a uniquely human rhythm. Dr. Rodriguez held up a modified communication array, its exterior a bizarre fusion of human electronics and alien biomechanical components. "We're not just copying their technology," she explained to the gathered team. "We're reimagining it." Their first successful modification came from an unexpected source. A team of game designers who had survived the initial invasion brought a unique perspective to technological adaptation. They approached alien systems like complex puzzle boxes, looking for weaknesses, alternative pathways, and creative solutions that linear thinking would miss. In a small workshop near the communication center, Miguel Santos, a former automotive engineer from Brazil, worked on something revolutionary. He had discovered that the Zorn's advanced weaponry relied on a quantum-level communication network. Where most scientists would see an impenetrable system, Miguel saw an opportunity for creative disruption. "It's like a car engine," he explained, holding up a complex array of modified alien circuitry. "Every system has a weakness. Every machine has a point where it can be redirected." The Resistance had developed a multi-pronged approach to technological warfare. Some teams focused on direct modification of alien technology. Others worked on developing communication disruption techniques. A specialized group studied the biological components of Zorn technology, searching for vulnerabilities that went beyond traditional mechanical understanding. Hiroshi Nakamura's team made a breakthrough that sent waves of excitement through the underground facility. They discovered that the Zorn's communication networks had a fundamental flaw. They assumed absolute control and predictability. By introducing seemingly random data packets, they could create cascading failures in alien systems. "It's like introducing a virus into their thinking," Hiroshi explained, his fingers dancing across a holographic display. "Not a traditional computer virus, but a conceptual disruption that their hierarchical systems can't process." Jack Harper understood the psychological warfare aspect of their approach. The Zorn had studied humanity, but they had fundamentally misunderstood human creativity. Where the aliens saw a linear problem to be solved, humans saw an opportunity for unexpected solutions. A team of neuroscientists and linguists worked alongside the engineers, studying the fundamental differences between human and Zorn communication. They discovered that the alien species processed information in a strictly hierarchical manner, with each communication layer tightly controlled and predicted. Humans, by contrast, thought in networks. Ideas bounced, merged, transformed. What seemed like chaos to the Zorn was actually a sophisticated form of collective intelligence. Maria Gonzalez developed a communication disruption protocol that was nothing short of genius. By introducing seemingly nonsensical data patterns that mimicked human creative thinking, she could create blind spots in the Zorn's observation networks. "They're looking for specific patterns," she explained. "We'll give them patterns they can't predict." The workshop became a crucible of human innovation. Salvaged smartphones sat alongside alien communication devices. 3D printers produced hybrid components that merged human ingenuity with captured alien technology. Each device was a small rebellion, a testament to human adaptability. Jack Harper looked at the assembled team, scientists, engineers, survivors who had been transformed into humanity's last hope. They were developing something more than weapons. They were developing a new way of understanding technological conflict. "They think they know us," he said quietly to Dr. Rodriguez, "but they have no idea what we're capable of." As night fell over the mountain facility, the teams continued their work. Each modified device, each decoded signal was a small victory. The Zorn had invaded expecting a quick conquest. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous. The human capacity for adaptation, the ability to turn limitation into opportunity, the remarkable power of collective human creativity. The real war was just beginning, and humanity was ready. The abandoned concert hall became an unlikely command center. Speakers that once amplified, music now broadcast a different kind of signal, a weapon of pure human creativity. Jack Harper stood at the center of a plan so unconventional that it would have been dismissed as impossible just months earlier. Maria Gonzalez had discovered something remarkable about Zorn communication systems. They processed information like a rigid hierarchy, unable to comprehend the chaotic, networked way humans thought and communicated. Now they would use that fundamental difference as a weapon. The first psychological operation began with music. Not just any music, but a carefully constructed series of audio patterns that defied traditional communication protocols. Classical compositions mixed with electronic beats, indigenous folk music blended with experimental jazz. Each transmission was a deliberate puzzle designed to confuse and destabilize the alien communication networks. Hiroshi Nakamura worked alongside a team of musicians, linguists, and signal engineers. They transformed sound into a weapon of information warfare. "It's not about making noise," he explained. "It's about creating cognitive dissonance that their systems can't process." In occupied cities around the world, small resistance groups began their own unique forms of psychological warfare. In Buenos Aires, street artists created massive murals that contained hidden data patterns. Each brushstroke, each color choice, was carefully calculated to transmit information invisible to the Zorn's monitoring systems. A team in Cape Town developed a communication method using dance. Traditional African dance movements were reinterpreted as a complex communication protocol. To human observers, it looked like a celebration of cultural heritage. To the Zorn's monitoring systems, it was an incomprehensible series of signals that would cause cascading errors in their information processing. Dr. Elena Rodriguez understood the deeper strategy. "We're not just fighting with technology," she told Jack Harper. "We're fighting with the most powerful weapon humans have, our ability to think beyond expected patterns." The psychological warfare extended beyond communication. Resistance groups began to exploit the Zorn's rigid understanding of human behavior. In Tokyo, a group of survivors turned abandoned shopping districts into elaborate mazes that confused alien ground troops. Each turn, each seemingly random choice was a calculated disruption of alien tactics. Jack Harper's military background proved crucial. He understood that the most effective warfare wasn't about direct confrontation, but about making the enemy question their own understanding of the conflict. The resistance began to create deliberate contradictions, seemingly unrelated actions that would force the Zorn to constantly recalculate their strategies. A group of game designers developed what they called reality disruption protocols. They created complex scenarios that would trigger the Zorn's monitoring systems, each scenario designed to create maximum confusion. What looked like random human behavior was actually a carefully orchestrated method of information warfare. In the Mountain Research Facility, the team tracked the results. Each transmission, each carefully designed psychological operation, created ripples in the Zorn's communication networks. Their rigid systems began to show signs of stress, like a complex machine encountering something it cannot process. Maria Gonzalez pulled up a holographic display showing the impact of their operations. "Look," she said, pointing to areas where Zorn communication patterns had become erratic. "We're not just resisting, we're introducing chaos into their entire system." The psychological warfare wasn't just about direct conflict, it was about challenging the fundamental way the Zorn understood information, communication, and adaptation. Humans were turning their most seemingly chaotic characteristics into a strategic advantage. Jack Harper looked at the assembled team, scientists, artists, engineers, survivors who had transformed into humanity's most unexpected weapon. "They studied us," he said quietly, "but they never understood us." As night fell, the resistance continued their work. Music played from hidden speakers. Artists created impossible patterns. Dancers moved in carefully designed sequences. Each action was a small rebellion, a testament to human creativity and resilience. The Zorn had invaded expecting a straightforward conquest. Instead, They found themselves fighting an enemy that defied every expectation, an enemy that could turn art into warfare, chaos into strategy, limitation into opportunity. Humanity was writing a new kind of resistance, and the real battle was just beginning. The breakthrough came at 3:17 in the morning, in a moment of exhausted brilliance that would change everything. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood motionless, her eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed something impossible. Around her, the research facility held its collective breath. "It's not just a communication protocol," she whispered. "It's a living system." The team had been studying captured Zorn technology for weeks, pushing the boundaries of human understanding. What began as an attempt to reverse engineer alien communication, systems had transformed into something far more profound. They had discovered the fundamental weakness in the Zorn's most advanced technology, a vulnerability that existed at the quantum level of their biological-mechanical integration. Hiroshi, Nakamura's fingers flew across multiple interfaces verifying the initial discovery. "The entire Zorn technological network," he said, "is essentially one massive interconnected organism, but it has a critical flaw. The flaw was beautiful in its simplicity. The Zorn's technology relied on a hierarchical communication system that assumed absolute control and predictability. Every signal, every transmission was designed to follow a precise, predetermined path. Humans, with their capacity for randomness and creative thinking, had found a way to introduce controlled chaos into this seemingly impenetrable system. Miguel Santos, the former automotive engineer, compared it to a complex engine. "Every system has a point of failure," he explained. "We're not trying to destroy their technology, we're trying to make it forget how to work." The team had developed what they called a quantum disruption algorithm, a piece of code that was part computer program, part biological intervention, and part pure human creativity. It wasn't a traditional computer virus. It was something entirely new, a way of introducing uncertainty into a system that couldn't comprehend uncertainty. Jack Harper understood the strategic implications immediately. "This isn't just about disabling their technology," he told the team. "This is about making them question the very foundation of their understanding." Dr. Rodriguez walked the team through the breakthrough. The algorithm they had developed could potentially create cascading failures in the Zorn's entire technological infrastructure. It worked by introducing seemingly random data packets that would cause the interconnected system to question its own protocols. "Imagine," she explained, "a system so rigidly controlled that it cannot process any information outside its predetermined parameters. We're introducing the concept of creativity directly into their technological DNA." The first test was carefully planned. A small transmission would be sent through a captured Zorn communication device, hidden in a remote mountain location. The team worked with a combination of scientific precision and barely contained excitement. Maria Gonzalez prepared the transmission, her fingers moving with a surgeon's precision. "Ready," she called out. The room went silent. The initial results were subtle. A slight flicker in the holographic display, a momentary disruption in the alien communication patterns, but to the trained eyes of the research team it was nothing short of revolutionary. "We've done it," Hiroshi said quietly. "We've found a way to speak their language by deliberately not speaking their language." The quantum disruption algorithm was more than a weapon. It was a fundamental challenge to the way the Zorn understood communication, technology, and control. Each transmission introduced a level of unpredictability that their systems could not process. Jack Harper looked at the assembled team, scientists, engineers, survivors who had transformed into humanity's most unexpected weapon. "They thought they knew us," he said. "They were wrong." As dawn broke over the mountain facility, the team continued their work. Each successful transmission was a small victory. Each moment of disruption was a testament to human creativity and resilience. The Zorn had invaded expecting a quick, methodical conquest. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous. A species capable of turning limitation into opportunity. A civilization that could transform its most seemingly chaotic characteristics into a sophisticated strategy of survival. The real war was just beginning, and humanity was ready. The sky erupted in a cascade of impossible geometries. The Zorn's most advanced fleet descended upon Earth, a crystalline armada that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Commander Krell, leader of the invasion force, watched from the primary command ship with cold, calculated certainty. This would be the final moment of human resistance. Jack Harper stood in the underground command center, a holographic display revealing the approaching alien armada. "They think this is their ultimate strike," he said quietly to Dr. Elena Rodriguez. "They have no idea what's coming." The quantum disruption algorithm they had developed was about to face its ultimate test. Months of preparation, countless simulations, and unprecedented human creativity had led to this moment. The resistance had transformed from a desperate group of survivors into a sophisticated fighting force that understood the true nature of warfare. Maria Gonzalez worked at a complex communication array, her fingers moving with surgical precision. "Transmission sequences are ready," she called out. "We're about to rewrite the rules of engagement." The first wave of the Zorn attack began precisely as their strategic models predicted. Massive energy weapons prepared to eliminate the last human strongholds. Invasion protocols initiated with machine-like precision. But something was different this time. Hiroshi Nakamura watched the alien communication networks with a predatory intensity. "Now," he said simply, "the quantum disruption algorithm went live." It wasn't a traditional attack. It was something far more sophisticated, a complete reimagining of technological warfare. Each transmission introduced calculated uncertainty into the Zorn's rigid communication systems. Where the aliens expected predictability, they found chaos. Alien ships began to experience inexplicable system failures. Navigation protocols became confused. Communication channels fragmented. What had been a perfectly coordinated invasion force suddenly became a collection of isolated, confused vessels. Miguel Santos explained it to the team as it happened. "We're not destroying their technology," he said. "We're making it forget how to work together." The Zorn command ship experienced the most dramatic transformation. Commander Krell watched in growing horror as their supposedly impenetrable systems began to collapse from within. Communication protocols twisted into impossible configurations. Navigation systems began to contradict themselves. Jack Harper understood the psychological warfare they were waging. "They built a system so complex that it cannot handle true creativity," he said, "and creativity is our greatest weapon." The human resistance had prepared for this moment with a level of coordination that defied traditional military understanding. Small teams around the globe began simultaneous operations. In occupied cities, resistance groups used the technological disruption to launch precisely targeted strikes. Dr. Rodriguez monitored the overall impact. "It's not about beating them technologically," she explained to the team. "It's about challenging their entire understanding of conflict." Alien ground. Troops found themselves caught in impossible scenarios. Communication networks collapsed. Weapon systems became unreliable. The Zorn's rigid hierarchical structure became their greatest weakness. The battle was unlike any conflict in human history. It wasn't about overwhelming force. It was about introducing a fundamental level of unpredictability that the aliens could not comprehend. "They studied us," Jack Harper said, watching the holographic display. "But they never understood us." Massive alien ships began to drift off course. Entire squadrons found themselves unable to coordinate. The invasion force that had seemed unstoppable just hours earlier now looked like a collection of confused, isolated vessels. Commander Krell's final transmission was a testament to the Zorn's fundamental misunderstanding of humanity. "Impossible," the alien leader repeated, unable to process the complete breakdown of their invasion strategy. As the day progressed, the human resistance transformed from a defensive force to an active, coordinated offensive. Each disrupted alien system was an opportunity. Each moment of confusion was a strategic advantage. The sky continued to burn with the remnants of the alien invasion. But something fundamental had changed. Humanity had proven that their greatest strength wasn't in traditional military might, but in their ability to think beyond expected parameters. The Zorn had come to conquer. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous. A species capable of turning limitation into opportunity. A civilization that could transform its most seemingly chaotic characteristics into a sophisticated strategy of survival. The real war was just beginning, and humanity was more than ready. The diplomatic ships arrived in waves, their designs as diverse as the civilizations they represented. Where they had once come to witness humanity's extinction, they now approached with a mixture of caution, respect, and intense curiosity. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of the Mountain Research Facility, watching the first diplomatic vessels descend through Earth's atmosphere. Jack Harper stood beside her, his tactical mind already analyzing every detail of the approaching vessels. "They've been watching," Maria Gonzalez said, monitoring the incoming communication channels. "Every species in the galactic community has been tracking our conflict with the Zorn." The diplomatic delegation was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. Representatives from 12 different galactic civilizations gathered in a hastily prepared conference center. Some appeared as translucent energy beings. Others were biomechanical entities that shifted and changed. A few looked almost humanoid, while others defied any comprehensible biological classification. Hiroshi Nakamura managed the communication protocols, ensuring that each species could understand the others. It was a testament to human adaptability, a complex translation system developed in mere weeks that could bridge incredibly diverse forms of communication. The first speaker was a representative from the Viridian Collective, a species of energy-based intelligences. Their communication was a complex series of light patterns and quantum-level vibrations. To most, it would have been incomprehensible, but the human team had prepared. "Your conflict with the Zorn," the Viridian representative communicated, "has changed everything we understand about technological warfare." Jack Harper stepped forward. "We didn't win through superior technology," he explained. "We won through our ability to adapt, to think beyond expected parameters." The diplomatic discussions revealed the true extent of the Zorn's impact on the galactic community. For centuries, the Zorn had been a dominant force, conquering and assimilating species across multiple star systems. Humanity's complete disruption of their invasion was unprecedented. Dr. Rodriguez explained their breakthrough. The quantum disruption algorithm was more than a weapon. It was a fundamental challenge to the way technological systems could understand communication and conflict. "We didn't destroy their technology," she explained. "We made it question its own existence." Each galactic representative brought a unique perspective. The crystalline networks shared data about previous Zorn conflicts. The quantum assemblage provided insights into the mathematical improbability of humanity's success. Miguel Santos presented their technological innovations. Each presentation was a masterclass in human creativity, showing how limitations could be transformed into opportunities. The diplomatic team was not just listening, they were learning. "Your species thinks differently," a representative from the quantum assemblage communicated. "Where others see constraints, you see possibilities." The discussions went beyond the recent conflict. Humanity's approach to problem-solving fascinated the galactic representatives. They saw something unique in human thinking, an ability to combine seemingly unrelated concepts to find solutions in chaos. Jack Harper understood the deeper implications. This wasn't just about winning a war, it was about humanity's place in the larger galactic community. The diplomatic sessions revealed something remarkable. The Zorn had studied humanity for decades, believing they understood everything about the species. In reality, they had understood nothing. "We are not defined by our technology," Dr. Rodriguez told the assembled representatives. "We are defined by our capacity to imagine." As the discussions continued, it became clear that humanity had done more than defend itself. They had fundamentally changed the understanding of technological conflict across multiple civilizations. Hiroshi Nakamura worked with the diplomatic teams, establishing communication protocols that would reshape galactic interactions. Each conversation was a bridge between different ways of thinking. The Mountain Research Facility, once a hidden resistance base, now became a center of galactic diplomacy. Scientists, engineers, and survivors who had fought for humanity's survival now found themselves at the center of a much larger conversation. Jack Harper looked at the assembled team. They were no longer just survivors. They were representatives of a species that had just changed the fundamental understanding of technological conflict. The Zorn had come to conquer. Instead, they had awakened something far more significant. Civilization capable of turning limitation into opportunity. A species that could transform its most seemingly chaotic characteristics into a sophisticated strategy of survival. Humanity was no longer just surviving. They were leading. 5 years. After the invasion, Earth looked nothing like it had before. The scars of conflict remained, but they had transformed into something extraordinary. Rebuilt cities rose from the ruins, incorporating technologies from across the galaxy. The Mountain Research Facility that had once been humanity's last hope now stood as a global innovation center, a testament to human resilience and creativity. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood on the observation deck, watching a new generation of explorers prepare for their first interstellar mission. Jack Harper approached, his tactical mind still sharp despite the years of peace. "We're not just survivors anymore," he said, looking out at the bustling facility. "We're pioneers." The galactic community had changed dramatically. The Zorn Collective had been completely dismantled, its member species seeking new alliances. Humanity found itself at the center of a new diplomatic and technological renaissance. Each species that had once watched humanity's struggle now sought to understand their unique approach to problem solving. Maria Gonzalez now led the Interspecies Communication Institute, developing breakthrough translation technologies that went far beyond simple language conversion. Her team worked on understanding the fundamental ways different species communicated, thought, and perceived reality. Hiroshi Nakamura had become the lead architect of the Global Innovation Network, a collaborative platform that brought together the most creative minds from Earth and across the galaxy. What had begun as a desperate resistance had transformed into humanity's greatest strength. The quantum disruption algorithm that had saved humanity now formed the basis of a new approach to technological development. Scientists and engineers from multiple species worked together, creating technologies that embraced uncertainty and creativity as core principles. Miguel Santos led a team developing adaptive technologies that could reshape themselves based on environmental challenges. Each project was a tribute to the human ability to see opportunity and limitation. Earth had become a hub of innovation, a place where traditional boundaries of technology, communication, and understanding were constantly challenged. The planet, that had once been on the brink of extinction, was now a beacon of hope for multiple civilizations. "We didn't just survive," Dr. Rodriguez explained to a group of young researchers. "We reimagined what was possible." The first human interstellar mission prepared to launch. It was more than a scientific expedition. It was a statement of humanity's transformation. The crew represented a diverse collection of skills: scientists, artists, engineers, philosophers, each bringing a unique perspective to space exploration. Jack Harper reviewed the mission parameters. Unlike previous space exploration efforts, this mission was about more than scientific discovery. It was about building bridges, understanding, and continuing to challenge existing paradigms. The diplomatic relationships humanity had built were unlike any in galactic history. It wasn't about military might or technological superiority. It was about a fundamental approach to problem solving that valued creativity, adaptability, and collective thinking. Hiroshi Nakamura's communication networks had become the backbone of interspecies collaboration. Technologies developed by combining insights from multiple civilizations were solving challenges that had seemed impossible just years earlier. The Zorn invasion had been a turning point. What could have been humanity's final moment became its greatest transformation. Each species that had watched the conflict now sought to understand the human approach to innovation. "We learned something crucial," Dr. Rodriguez told the assembled researchers. "Limitations are not obstacles. They are opportunities." The mountain research facility had become a symbol of human potential. Where once it had been a hidden base of resistance, it now stood as a global center of innovation. Researchers from across the galaxy came to understand the human approach to problem solving. Jack Harper looked at the team, survivors who had become pioneers, resistance fighters who had transformed into diplomats and innovators. "We didn't just save ourselves," he said quietly. "We changed everything." As the first interstellar mission prepared to launch, humanity looked to the future. They were no longer just a species that had survived an invasion. They were leaders, innovators, bridge builders. The Zorn had come to conquer. Instead, they had awakened something extraordinary. A civilization capable of turning limitation into opportunity. A species that could transform its most seemingly chaotic characteristics into a sophisticated strategy of survival. Humanity was ready for whatever the universe might bring.